Well, Syria's president has signed a new temporary constitution, which will be in place as the nation undergoes a 5-year transitional period. The constitution notably removes a number of powers from the president, handing them to a so-called People's Assembly, in contrast to the former regime's dictatorial rule. The document also answers a number of lingering questions about how the new Syria will look, including the protection of women's rights.
The Constitutional Declaration stipulates a large group of rights and freedoms, including freedom of opinion, expression, media, publishing and press, safeguarding the sanctity of private life, thus declaring a balance between freedoms. Based on the position of women in Syrian society, it stipulates her right to participate in work and education, and guaranteed her social, economic and political rights. To ensure that freedom does not equal restriction, a set of regulations was established that every society needs to control freedoms so that they do not turn into chaos.
Nizar Sadawi has more from the Syrian capital, Damascus.
This 5-year transitional constitution actually brings hope to Syrians here. People have been following up the news. They've been watching the press conference in which Ahmed al-Shara, the Syrian president, attended himself. They focused, of course, in that conference on stressing that minority rights will be preserved, women's rights to education, to work, the freedom of press, the freedom of ownership, the right to ownership and publishing. That will all be maintained in this constitution, but more significantly they talked about parliament. The president of Syria, which has to be a Muslim, by the way, according to this new draft, can only decide on 1/3 of the parliament members. So that is one thing significant. They also decided to dissolve what Syrians here call the extraordinary courts, which is something that was often working under Hafiz al-Assad and later Bashar al-Assad, something that was used during the Assad regime time to prosecute, to oppress people. This is what Syrians are saying. So the Syrian president now will have limited authorities compared, of course, to how it was under Bashar al-Assad and before that Hafiz al-Assad. This is a very significant improvement for Syrians. They're saying that, of course, this brings hope.
Well, the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says Turkey will not hesitate to take any necessary action to ensure peace and stability in its region. Speaking at the Benevolence Award ceremony, President Erdogan added that his country aims to become a hub for peace diplomacy.
We opened our doors wide to Syrians who fled the massacres in Syria, where 1 million of our brothers lost their lives and took refuge in Turkey, which they saw as a safe haven. It was with this vision that we supported the oppressed people of Gaza, who were subjected to the inhumane attacks of the Zionist regime for 471 days. Today, those who supposedly call us on to be courageous, in those testing days when bombs were raining down on the children of Gaza, slander the Palestinian National Forces as a terrorist organization simply because they are afraid of the genocidal network, while we looked into the eyes of the genocidal and their supporters at the common platform of humanity in the United Nations General Assembly and courageously defended the Palestinian cause and the heroic children of Gaza.
Well, the Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan, along with the Defence Minister and the Head of Intelligence, arrived in Damascus on Thursday. This visit comes after an agreement reached on Monday between the Syrian government and the SDF, that's the Syrian branch of the YPG-PKK terror group. And the Turkish officials met with the Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara to discuss recent regional developments. Earlier this week, President Erdogan stated that the full implementation of the agreement would contribute to Syria's security and stability. Meanwhile, the 8th Diyanet Foundation International Benevolence Award ceremony, which serves to promote a platform for goodness and promote awareness, took place on Thursday in Ankara this year. 5 individuals out of 83 nominees were awarded, and one of those was the Syrian pilot Ragid al-Tatari, who refused to take orders to kill civilians under the Assad regime and was detained for 43 years. Asli Atbash reports from Ankara.
This award ceremony, organized annually by Turkey's Diyanet Foundation since 2015, serves as a platform to promote goodness and raise awareness. Each year, they highlight inspiring individuals from around the world with a special emphasis on Turkey, who have led the way in spreading kindness. These awards recognize those whose actions have mobilized communities, united diverse cultures, and shared powerful stories of goodness on a global scale. This year, 5 individuals out of 83 nominees were honored with 2 additional special awards. I think one of the most outstanding honorees is Ragid Al-Tatari, a Syrian pilot who refused to participate in the 1982 massacre in Hama, commanded by Hafez al-Assad. For defying orders to bomb the town, an act he considered inhumane, Al-Tatari was imprisoned for 43 years in Sednaya prison, until his recent release following the collapse of the Assad regime. He was nominated for his extraordinary courage in standing against a crime against humanity, despite the personal cost.
I was among the pilots who spoke out. I rejected targeting civilians. Pilots started talking among themselves. If they were obliged or received military instructions to bomb civilians in Syrian cities like Aleppo, Hama, Idlib or Damascus, they considered these airstrikes as unpatriotic missions. So 2 pilots went to Jordanian bases in September 1980. I flew to Jordan, and my family members suffered abuse in Syria. The Syrian regime intelligence investigated my mother. It was psychological torture. She was ordered to stay for long hours there. They broke into my house. Following the abuses, I decided to come back to Syria. I did not flee with my jet, but I was treated like those who fled with their warplanes. The regime also considered me as an agitator. We were detained by the regime general intelligence for 3 years. Then we were transported to the Mazza military prison in Damascus, where there was a field court with the previous judgments. They did not have a case, any evidence, or judges. I spent 43 years in prison, plus 15 days. I was invited by the Turkish to come to Turkey to be honored. I did not have a passport, and they helped me cross into Turkey. I highly appreciate what Turkey has done. The reward was for what I have done for humanity's sake and human development. Turkey is a country that is interested in humanitarian affairs. This means a lot for me. The Turkish international humanitarian interests mean a lot. This honor and prize are a source of pride for me. I am proud because they were given to me by the Turkish President, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Here, I thank President Erdogan and the Turkish Diyanet Foundation and all the staff members, and I thank the Turkish people for their warm hospitality.